Buy Sri Lanka's best internet package for online learning and online working with many amazing offers. Call 1212 for more information. Sri Lanka Telecom.
ලෙන්ගතුකම වැඩි කරගන්න ලව්ජු රුපියල් 50ට අඩු කළා.
මාමේ එන්න අපිට එකක් බොමු.
In your headlines tonight, in the dark, Kerawalapitiya power plant not at fault for the sudden failure of island-wide power supply.
A total blackout or the interruption outage due to technical failure in the transmission system.
Subject Minister calls for an investigative committee to probe the outage. Piece of the puzzle. Former President summoned to appear before the Easter PCOI's police unit on the 26th of August. Retrospective wisdom, confusion over the beneficiaries of 50,000 jobs. Getting the house in order, 2 employees of the Government Analysts Department nabbed with heroin. All this and much more coming up tonight on First at 9, this Monday the 17th of August 2020.
නව sunlight sakura දැන් දික්කුකල් පවතින sakura මල් සුවඳින්.
From AdaDerana, this is AdaDerana First at 9. Live from Studio 24 in Colombo.
A very warm welcome. This is First at 9 and I'm in the Municipal. A sudden power failure lasting nearly 7 hours across the island today has been restored in many areas. It was initially rumoured to be due to a failure at the Kerawalapitiya power plant. This, however, was repelled by the spokesperson of the Ministry of Power and Energy, insisting that the interruption to the island's power supply was down due to a technical failure in the power transmission system. In any case, the Ministry of Power and Energy initially promised to restore the supply in several hours, but that could not be met. The Ceylon Electricity Board, however, says that the power supply has been restored in many areas in the country, except in the north, north central and Uva provinces.
A sudden power failure occurred island-wide at around 12:45 p.m. today, affecting the lives of the people and operations of many places of business. Heavy traffic was also seen in some areas, with traffic lights being inactive due to this sudden power failure.
Today we had an experience of total blackout or the interruption outage due to technical failure in the transmission system. Now the CB officials are engaging with restoring the system again. We hope that we will be able to restore the system as early as possible.
The engineer of the Kerawalapitiya power station, Kitsiri Egodavatta, too confirmed to AdaDerana that the fault lies with the power transmission system. He added that no fault had occurred at the Kerawalapitiya power station as rumoured. The sudden power failure also affected the water supply in some areas of the country. A spokesperson for the National Water Supply and Drainage Board stated that the water supply for some pumping facilities, which are without electricity generators, have been disrupted. The Water Board also said in a statement that although the power supply has been restored, it will take some time for water supply in some areas to return to normalcy. In the meantime, Minister of Power Dallas Alhaperuma said that instructions were given to the Secretary of the Ministry to appoint a committee to investigate this sudden power failure. Heavy queues were also seen near fuel stations following today's mass disruption of the island's power supply.
Experience better days with a bigger, better 4G. Hutch 4G, now bigger and better.
Some candidates for government jobs who received confirmation letters after submitting applications for employment under the President's employment program have had their applications cancelled. This was stated by the Ministry of Public Administration, Home Affairs, Provincial Councils and Local Government. Now, the names of those who have received or, however, have been accepted into the program, along with those who were rejected, are published under the job listings of the Ministry.
President Gotabaya Rajapaksa's program to provide employment opportunities to 150,000 persons The Ministry of Public Administration, Home Affairs, Provincial Councils and Local Government had sent letters to 50,000 unemployed graduates in the month of February, stating that they would be recruited and given training. The program, however, came to a standstill due to the general election. Following the election, the ministry, however, decided to review the applications since not all initially selected 50,000 candidates were sent letters of appointment. During the process, it had transpired that some applicants were in contravention of the basic requirements stipulated by the ministry. As a result, some letters of appointment previously sent out were cancelled and the relevant persons' applications rejected. The names of those who had their job appointments cancelled are included in the job listings published by the website of the Ministry of Public Administration, Home Affairs, Provincial Councils and Local Government yesterday. Secretary to the Ministry J.J. Ratnasiri says that after reviewing the applications, the names of the persons who are already entitled to the Employees Provident Fund and the Employees Trust Fund and are already employed in the private sector were rejected.
Prime Minister Mahinda Rajapaksa assumed duties as the Cabinet Minister of several ministries today. He was given the portfolios of finance, Buddha Shasana, religious and cultural affairs, as well as urban development and housing.
Prime Minister Mahinda Rajapaksa, who was sworn in as the Minister of Finance, assumed duties at an auspicious time with the blessings of the Buddhist clergy this morning. Later, Premier Rajapaksa also assumed duties as the Minister of Buddha Sasana, Religious and Cultural Affairs at the Colombo Ganga Ramya Temple. State Minister of National Heritage, Performing Arts and Rural Artists Vidura Vikramanayaka also assumed duties at the very occasion. Later, Prime Minister Rajapaksa also assumed duties as the Minister of Urban Development and Housing at the Suhurupaya in Batramulla.
අපි 2015 යනකොට මම හිතන්නේ ආසියාවේ වේගයෙන්ම සංවර්ධන වුණු නගරය බවට කොළඹපත් වෙලා තිබුණා. ඊට පසුව අවුරුදු 5 පසුබෑම් එක තමයි අපි වැඩ බාරගන්නේ. ඔබ වැඩ බාරගන්න. ඉතින් ඔබට තියෙන විශාල කාර්යයක්. අර පසුබෑපු අවුරුදු 5 ආපහු 2015 තත්ත්වයට ගෙනියන්න. එතනින් එහාට ඉදිරියට ගෙනියන්න. තියෙන වගකීම තියෙන්නේ ඔබට.
Another employee at the Government Analyst Department was arrested this evening by the Athrugiriya police with 15 grams of heroin, 25 grams of the narcotic known as ice and a weighing scale. It comes after a lab assistant of the Government Analyst Department was arrested and taken into detention while in possession of heroin. Police have been uncovering crooked officials within the state system in the recent weeks, which also included officers of the Police Narcotics Bureau. Meanwhile, the officer in charge of the Kurunegala police is also interdicted with immediate effect following allegations that he socialized within the police station with an accomplice of a known criminal.
A lab assistant of the Government Analysts Department was apprehended yesterday. The arrest was made during a raid which was conducted after the officer in charge of the Athrugiriya police was tipped off. The 28-year-old suspect had 18.73 grams of heroin in his possession when he was arrested in the area of Moratuahena. The suspect was produced before the Kaduwela Magistrates Court and permission was granted to detain and interrogate him until the 24th. Questions have arisen as to whether the suspect had used the drugs under the custody of the Government Analysts Department, and the police have launched operations in search of another suspect. In the meantime, officer in charge of the Kurunegala police, NKAKI Vikramasinghe, has been interdicted with effect from yesterday upon instructions of the Acting Inspector General of Police with approval of the National Police Commission. It relates to allegations that he consumed a liquor at the police with an associate of Angodaloka's main assassin, Solta. Solta died under police fire after he attempted to lob a hand grenade at the police. The interdicted OIC is also accused of attempting to conceal evidence against Solta. In the meantime, an accomplice of an overseas drug racketeer was apprehended by the anti-corruption unit of the Maligavatta police. The said accomplice had operated in the area of Maligavatta upon instructions of his master in India. 20 grams of heroin, cash, bank passbooks, A knife, 2 mobile phones, and a scale were in the possession of the suspect at the time of his arrest. In another development, 4 men and a woman were arrested by the Ambalantara police with 3.75 grams of heroin. Under interrogations, the suspects had revealed that they had operated the drug racket for some time using the Easy Cash facility. Meanwhile, 4 suspects were arrested by the Uragas Manghandia police in Alpitia. 2 of the suspects are racketeers, while the other 2 had solicited drugs. 6.1 grams of heroin was found from the possession of the suspects, while 250,000 rupees in cash was also seized by the police. Meanwhile, a 24-year-old suspect was arrested by police in the area of Dambulla after it was revealed the suspect had planned to host a party with drugs. Police found cannabis and foreign-made rolling paper. In a separate development, measures are taken to deploy police special task force personnel to crack down on packages of contraband being lobbed over boundary walls at prisons. STF will be deployed for outside security at prisons, and they will also crack down on other illegal activities.
බන්ධනාගාර දෙපාර්තමේන්තුව විශේෂ කාර්ය බලකායෙන් කරන ලද ඉල්ලීමක් මත බන්ධනාගාර දෙපාර්තමේන්තුවේ මේ දවස්වල තියෙන නිලධාරී හිගේ මත සහ බන්ධනාගාර දෙපාර්තමේන්තුව විශේෂයෙන්ම නේවාසිකයන්ගේ සෝදිසි කිරීම ආරක්ෂාව සඳහා විශේෂ කාර්ය බලකායෙන් ඉල්ලීමක් කරලා තියෙනවා ආරක්ෂාව සපයන්න කියලා. මෙම ආරක්ෂාවට අමතරව බන්ධනාගාර රැඳවියන්ව සෝදිසි කිරීමට ලක් කරනවා. බන්ධනාගාර දොරටුත් ඔවුන්ව යොදවනවා සෝදිසි කිරීම සහ පරීක්ෂාවන් සඳහා. අලුතෙන් නිලධාරීන් ඉක්මනින් බදවා ගැනීමට බලාපොරොත්තු වෙනවා. විශේෂ කාර්ය බලකායේ අපේ නිලධාරීන් ක්‍රමවත් පුහුණුවකින් පස්සේ මෙම ස්ථානවලට යොදවලා විශේෂ කාර්ය බලකාය අපිට මුදව හරින්න පුළුවන්. බන්ධනාගාර බුද්ධි අංශය සහ බන්ධනාගාර නිලධාරී විශේෂ කාර්ය බලකායේ සෝදිසි කිරීම සහ පරීක්ෂා කිරීම කරන තැන්වලට අනිවාර්යයෙන්ම යොදනවා. කොළඹ වැලිකඩ බන්ධනාගාරය, කොළඹ රිමාන්ඩ් බන්ධනාගාරය, කොළඹ මැගසින් බන්ධනාගාරය, කාන්තා අංශයත් වැලිකඩ බන්ධනාගාර රෝහලත් විශේෂ කාර්ය බලකායෙන් එම කණ්ඩායම යොදවනවා. ලබන සතියේ සිට මේ වැඩසටහන ක්‍රියාත්මක කරන්න බලාපොරොත්තු වෙනවා.
Former President Maithripala Sirisena has been summoned by the Presidential Commission of Inquiry probing the Easter Sunday terror attacks. The Commission has requested the now MP-elect to appear before the Commission's police unit on the 26th of August. Meanwhile, former Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe, former Minister of Defence Ruwan Wijewardena and former Minister of Law and Order Sagala Ratnayaka have also been summoned by the Commission to record statements regarding the attacks. Wickremesinghe and Ratnayaka are to appear before the Commission on the 21st of August, while Wijewardena is to appear at the investigation unit tomorrow. We'll return with more news on the other side of this break. The Kurunegala Municipal Council today passed a proposal which will see the body footing the bill for legal fees incurred in the case against the city's mayor, who stands accused of demolishing a building dating back to the 13th century. Media personnel present within the chamber were asked to leave before the proposal was passed in the House.
A section of the building located at the heart of the Kurunegala town was bulldozed and removed on the 14th of July upon instructions of the city's mayor. The building in question is believed to be of the 13th century, and the section which was removed is believed to be the assembly hall of the contemporary rulers. Following the incident, warrants were issued for the arrest of 5 persons, including the Kurunegala mayor Tushara Sanjeeva. With that being the case, the Financial Committee of the Kurunegala Municipal Council tabled a proposal to pay 2.1 million and 80,000 rupees as legal fees in the case. It was tabled by Deputy Mayor of Kurunegala Sumit Tudavasala on behalf of the mayor. Later, all the journalists who were inside the chamber were asked to leave and the proposal was passed. Our correspondent said that the provincial councillors representing the JVP and the UNP as well as the former mayor objected to the proposal.
Following the long hiatus of universities underwent due to the COVID-19 virus and the general elections, all universities resumed academic activities today. The University Grants Commission has stated that university activities will resume according to health and safety guidelines. However, the Kelaniya University is due to resume academic activities from the 19th of this month. Meanwhile, the Computer Science Unit of the Faculty of Applied Sciences at the University of Sri Jawadhanapura and another institute have developed a database for the National Institute of Infectious Diseases in Angoda. It enables the storage of data on samples received from COVID-19 patients and PCR tests from across the island. In the meantime, 2 new COVID-19 infections were confirmed today. Meanwhile, 6 persons left hospital today after fully recovering from the virus, placing Sri Lanka's number of coronavirus recoveries at 2,676, while pushing the number of active cases down to 208. Parliamentarian-elect from the Samagi Jana Balawegaya, Nalin Bandara, says that he is disappointed over UNP leader Ranil Wickremesinghe not being elected to Parliament. Addressing a media briefing today, he urged Wickremesinghe to hand the UNP over to SJB leader Sajith Premadasa, outlining it as the only option available. Bandara also took aim at the government over its recent allocation of ministries.
ඒකාධිපති ගති ලක්ෂණ තියෙන පෞල් පාලනයක් ඉලක්ක කරගත්තු 20 වෙනි සංශෝධනයට විශේෂයෙන්ම අපි ශ්‍රී ලංකා නිදහස් පක්ෂයේ ඉන්න 14 දෙනාගෙන් ජනාධිපතිවරයා විදියට කටයුතු කරපු වකට සිරිසේන ජනාධිපතිතුමාගෙන් ඉල්ලනවා මේ අත්නෝමතික ව්‍යවස්ථා සංශෝධනයට උදව් කරන්න එපා කියලා. දැන් අපිට පේන්නේ මේ රටේට එන ආයෝජකයන් ගැන කටයුතු කරන්න අමාත්‍යාංශයක් තියෙනවද කියලා. අලින්ට අගල් කපන අමාත්‍යාංශ දීලා තියෙනවා. බතික් වැඩවලට අමාත්‍යාංශ දීලා තියෙනවා. බුලත් වලට, බිත්තර වලට, කුරුඳු වලට එකී මෙකී නොකී සියලු කුළු බඩු වලට අමාත්‍යාංශ දීලා තියෙනවා. හැබැයි අපේ රටේ ආයෝජකයින්ට පහසුකම් සපයන්න ආයෝජකෙත් එක්ක ගනුදෙනු කරන්න ඒ තිබුණු අමාත්‍යාංශය අද නැහැ. මෙන්න මේ විමල වීර දිසානායක මහත්තයා කියලා තියෙනවා එක්සත් ජාතික පන්සලට වෙච්ච දේ හෙට පොට්ටුවට වෙන්න බැරි නෑ. මට ලැබුණු ඇමති ධූරය ගැන කලකිරීමක් තියෙනවා. එතුමා විතරක් නෙමෙයි අපි දැක්කා විදුර වික්‍රමනායක මහත්තයාත් කලකිරීමෙන් ඉන්නවා. රෝහිත අබේගුණවර්ධන මහත්තයාට නම් දෙවන්ත අමාත්‍යාංශයක් දීලා තියෙනවා. මේකද වියත්මක කියලා තමයි අහන්න තියෙන්නේ. දැන් වනජීවී හා වන සංරක්ෂණ අමාත්‍යාංශයේ ඇමතිවරයා සී.බී. රත්නායක මහත්තයා. හැබැයි සී.බී. රත්නායක මහත්තයාට තියෙන දැව සංස්ථාව විතරයි. ඒ කියන්නේ වනය ආරක්ෂා වෙන්නෙත් නැහැ, වනය සංරක්ෂණය වෙන්නෙත් නැහැ, ලී කපලා ඉරන්න තමයි තියෙන දැව සංස්ථාව. වාරි මාර්ග සම්බන්ධව ඇමතිවරු ගණනාවක් ඉන්නවා. දැන් වාරි මාර්ග කැබිනට් ඇමති චමල් රාජපක්ෂ මහත්තයා. ඊට පස්සේ තව වී හා ධාන්‍ය කාබනික පොහොර එළවලු පළතුරු මිරිස් ලූණු හා අර්ථාපල් වගා ප්‍රවර්ධන බීජ නිෂ්පාදන උසස් තාක්ෂණ කෘෂිකර්ම රාජ්‍ය ඇමති ශෂින්ද්‍ර රාජපක්ෂ මහත්තයා පුත්‍රයා. තාත්තාගෙන් පුතාට ඊළඟ අමාත්‍යාංශ කෑල්ල. ඊළඟට ග්‍රාමීය කුඹුරු ආශ්‍රිත වැව් ජලා සහ වාරි සංවර්ධන රාජ්‍ය අමාත්‍ය අනුරාධ ජයරත්න මහත්තයා. ග්‍රාමීය කුඹුරු. ඒතර නාගරික කුඹුරු කාටද කියලා මේ අපි හොයනවා. මාර අමාත්‍යාංශ බෙදිල්ලක් තමයි බෙදලා තියෙන්නේ. ඒ නිසා පැහැදිලිවම මේ ආණ්ඩුව ආරම්භයේදීම කඩුල්ලක් දෙකක් දවාගෙන තමයි මැච් එක පටන් ගන්න තියෙන්නේ.
අපි දැක්කා පසුගිය දවසේ එක්සත් ජාතික පක්ෂ නායකතුමා රනිල් වික්‍රමසිංහ මහත්තයා පරාජිතයන්ට බුලියානි පාටියක් දීලා. එතුමා යනවා කිව්වට යන පාටක් නෑ නේද? දැන් එතුමා දැන් මේ පත්තරෙත් තියලා තරුණයන් සඳහා නව යාන්ත්‍රණයක් සකසා ඒජාප නායකත්වයේ බාර දෙනවා. යාන්ත්‍රණ හදන්න දෙයක් නෑ. මේ රටේ පාක්ෂිකයෝ ඉන්න තැනක් තියෙනවා. ඒ පාක්ෂිකයෝ ඉන්නේ සජිත් ප්‍රේමදාස මැතිතුමත් එක්ක සමගි ජන බලවේගෙත් එක්ක. අපි කියන්නේ එක්සත් ජාතික පක්ෂයේ සුජාත පුත්‍රයා තමයි සමගි ජන බලවේගය. වහාම සජිත් ප්‍රේමදාස මැතිතුමාට කතා කරලා මේ වක්කීම සජිත් ප්‍රේමදාස මැතිතුමාට බාර දෙන එක විතරයි කරන්න තියෙන්නේ. ආ යාන්ත්‍රණ හදලා වැඩක් නැහැ. අදටත් කම්පා වෙන කාරණයක් තියෙනවා. ඒ කම්පා වෙන කාරණේ තමයි රනිල් වික්‍රමසිංහ මහත්මයා වගේ කෙනෙක් මේ පාර්ලිමේන්තුවේ නොසිටීම.
Minister of Foreign Relations Dinesh Gunawardena has been appointed as the leader of the House in the new parliament. Meanwhile, Minister of Highways Johnston Fernando has been handed the responsibility of being the chief government whip. The 19th Parliament of the Democratic Socialist Republic of Sri Lanka is due to convene for the first time on Thursday, the 20th. The local palm oil industry is baselessly vilified. We'll find out after we return from this break. Welcome back to the news. The Palm Oil Industry Association claims that the local palm oil industry is baselessly vilified and misled by activists and lobbyists with vested interests, creating a situation where plantation companies are at risk of incurring significant losses. The former government gave the go-ahead to expand the oil palm cultivations in Sri Lanka, but halted the plans under pressure from various quarters which said that oil palm does more harm than good to the environment. Some experts, however, are still insisting that there are many downsides to oil palm and suggest the promotion of coconut instead.
The Palm Oil Industry Association says that plantation companies will sustain a cumulative loss of more than 500 million rupees within months due to policy inconsistencies and vilification by the government on a well-regulated expansion of Sri Lanka's oil palm cultivation. It says 356,000 oil palm plants imported on the strength of a government decision to expand cultivation have been maturing in nurseries for more than 3 years, due to the government's failure to address concerns arising from falsehoods and disinformation spread by misled activists and lobbyists with vested interests. In its communiqué, the POIA says that Sri Lanka's palm oil industry has a cumulative investment of 26 billion rupees and that the country has less than 11,000 hectares under oil palm, which is just over 1% of the extents under tea, rubber and coconut. It adds that plantation companies had been mandated to increase the total area under oil palm to 20,000 hectares under strictly enforced guidelines that ensure the industry is environmentally non-invasive before the government backpedaled on the plan. On the coconut expansion plans, POIA quotes experts as saying that it would take at least 20 years to reach a point where the country's edible oil requirements can be met locally grown coconut. It also notes that coconut oil production is more costly and requires more land than oil palm, and that baseless vilification of the local palm oil industry had resulted in the country producing just 23,000 tons of palm oil per annum and the import of a staggering 220,000 tons of crude palm oil into the country each year at a cost of approximately 22 billion rupees.
Sri Lankan shares ended lower for the first time in 5 sessions today, dragged down by financial and healthcare stocks. The all-share price index ended 0.20% lower at 5,251.61, while turnover was 1.65 billion rupees. Meanwhile, the local currency ended the day at 182.81 against the US dollar, although the rupee closed stronger at 182 rupees and 70 cents on Friday. Here's a brief look at how markets performed today.
The SPI lost 10 points for the day, while the S&P SL20 index lost about 3 points for the day. Strong turnover levels were witnessed today despite the selling pressure, where we saw about 1.6 billion rupees of turnover, specifically concentrating on the banking counters. We saw strong buying interest coming into John Case Holdings today as the share saw considerable upward movement. However, the positivity that arose out of John Case Holdings was completely set off by the selling pressure in Dialogue and also the selected banking sector counters. So we saw some of the banking results being released which were rather negative in the June quarter results, with the high levels of impairment that were there. So with that, we saw a bit of selling pressure in the banking counters. However, overall, if we look at it, banking sector turnover was significantly high compared to the turnover for the day. So we saw Commercial Bank, Sampath Bank and Chevron Lubricants having crossings during the day, which resulted in a boost for the overall turnover levels. Foreigners were a net outflow for the day of around 339 million rupees, and bulk of the outflow was resultant from Commercial Bank, which is also from the crossing that was taken place today.
W.I. Nuwan Pereira was crowned the winner of Derana's 60 Plus Season 3 at the grand finale, which was held last evening. Daruna 60 Plus is the first ever reality experience in Sri Lanka, which created a platform for senior citizens aged above 60 to showcase their talents.
The grand finale of the Dialogue Prashansa, Derana 60 Plus, the first ever reality experience in Sri Lanka, which created a platform for the senior citizens aged above 60 to showcase their talents, was worked off last evening in Colombo, with strict adherence to health and safety protocols. The event was lit up by the veteran singers with their performances. Edward Jayakodi, Rohana Bogara and Shashika Nisansala served as the judge panel in Season 3 of Derana 60 Plus. During the event, Dr. Sujata Attanayaka was given the award of Jeevana Prashansa in recognition of her contribution to the field of music. Out of 16,000 applicants, GP Somaratna, Milton Malaviyarachi and Nuwan Pereira competed in the grand finale. On the night, Hemasiri Hettiarachchi was voted by the people via SMS as the most popular star. GP Somaratna came in third at the evening's main event, while Milton Malaviyarachi was the runner-up. And the accolade of being the winner of the Dialogue Prashansa 60 Plus Season 3 went to W.I. Nuwan Pereira.
And that wraps up tonight's edition of First at 9. Have a pleasant evening. Good night.